Today, we are going to unlock a simple, science-backed rule that can literally free you from being a prisoner to your own emotions. And it all comes down to a secret timer that's built right into your brain and learning how to finally use it to your advantage. You know that feeling, right? You get a frustrating email, someone makes a rude comment, and bam, that flash of anger just sticks with you. It completely hijacks your focus, your mood, maybe even your entire day. It feels like you're stuck. Well, what if I told you that the actual physical, chemical lifespan of that emotional response is only this long? 90 seconds. That's it. I know, it sounds impossible, doesn't it? But the science behind this is absolutely fascinating. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at the neuroscience behind this 90-second glitch. Then, we'll figure out why on earth our emotions feel like they last so much longer. After that, we'll get into two really powerful, practical techniques to take back control, and we'll wrap it all up with a whole new way to think about your emotions. Okay, let's start with what's really going on inside your body, the chemical hijack. What happens when you feel a powerful emotion wash over you? So here's the deal with the 90-second rule. When something triggers you, your brain releases a flood of chemicals into your bloodstream. That's what creates all those physical feelings. You know, the heat in your face, the knot in your stomach. But here's the kicker. Your body is incredibly efficient. It metabolizes and completely flushes out that entire chemical cocktail in just about 90 seconds. And listen, this isn't some feel-good, positive thinking theory. This comes straight from the research of Dr. Jill Bolte-Taylor, a Harvard-trained neuroscientist. She actually observed this process and found that the physiological part of an emotion, the chemicals, has a really, really short shelf life. After 90 seconds, that initial reaction it's over. So this brings up a huge question, right? If the chemical reaction is finished in a minute and a half, why do we stay angry or upset for hours, sometimes for days? What's the deal here? What's the mechanism that keeps us stewing in it? If the physical part is gone, there has to be something else going on in our minds that keeps that feeling alive and kicking. And the culprit is what we call the story loop. Here's how it works. You have the initial trigger, then the 90-second chemical flood. But after that, our brain starts replaying the event. We obsess over it. We think about what we should have said or what that person really meant. And every single time we replay that story, our brain interprets it as a brand new trigger and releases a fresh batch of those same chemicals, restarting the 90-second clock all over again. Think of it this way. You are the director of your own emotional movie, and you're the one choosing to play that one frustrating scene over and over and over again. By feeding your brain that story, you are actively choosing to stay in that emotional state. Okay, that's the problem. So how do we break this cycle? Well, our first technique isn't about suppressing the emotion or fighting it. It's about learning to just ride the wave. It's a really simple three-step process. First, when you feel that strong emotion kicking in, just notice the physical sensations. Where is it in your body? Is your jaw tight? Is your chest heavy? Just observing this pulls you out of the story and into your body. Second, consciously start counting to 90. You're not fighting anything. You're just watching and giving that chemical wave the time it needs to pass. And if you find that story is still trying to suck you back in, you move to step 3, pattern interruption. Now, a really powerful way to interrupt that pattern is the 5-3-1 technique. It basically hijacks your brain's focus. First, you name 5 things you can see. This forces your visual cortex to engage, pulling resources away from the story. Then you physically move, go to another room, step outside. You create a physical break. And finally, you starve that emotional loop by forcing your brain to do something totally different and focused for 3 minutes, like counting backward from 100 by sevens. Good luck thinking about anything else while you're doing that. All right, now for a more advanced trick. This one is a simple language shift, but it creates instant mental clarity. We're calling it the third-person power move. Just look at the difference here. On the left, when you think or say, "I am angry," you're literally fusing your identity with the emotion. You and the anger, you're the same thing. But now look to the right. When you use your own name, say, "John is feeling angry," you're no longer the emotion. You're the observer of it. This tiny little shift in language does something incredible. It creates what psychologists call psychological distance. It puts a little bit of space between you, the person, and the emotion, which is just a temporary experience passing through you. And in that space, you have room to think clearly instead of just reacting. And get this, there's real neuroscience to back this up. Studies show that when you use third-person self-talk, it actually calms down the activity in your emotional limbic system and fires up your prefrontal cortex. That's the rational, wise advisor part of your brain. You literally go from being hijacked by the emotion to advising yourself, just like you would a good friend. So let's bring all this home. What's the final takeaway? Now that we have these tools, how should we really think about our emotions? This is the key insight. An emotion, whether it's anger or sadness or fear, is just a passing storm. It's temporary weather. It is not the permanent climate of who you are. The 90-second rule proves that. You aren't the storm cloud. You are the whole sky. And really, this is what it all comes down to. True emotional resilience isn't about trying to never feel angry or sad. Come on, that's impossible. It's about building the skill to navigate those feelings without letting them take over your life. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. So the next time that emotional storm hits, what are you going to do? Are you going to let that story loop play on repeat? Or are you going to ride the wave for 90 seconds and take back your mind? You have the tools now. The choice is all yours.